Hello, my name's Juliet John and I'm going to be talking about laser tattoo removal. There may be a few questions that you'd like answered, so hopefully I can do that for you. First of all, when you come in, there'll be a tattoo that you don't really like. It could be a bit older, it could be out of fashion, it could have a date on it, it could have a name on it that you particularly don't want there anymore. Don't worry, we're used to this. So just come in, and what we're going to do is obviously analyse it and see what kind of colours are in there. Just want to talk about also what else you could have when you come in the door. There could be semi-permanent makeup that you might decide you want to get rid of. It could be that the eyebrows may be a little bit too close together and you want the centre parting taken away. Or it could be your arches that may be too high for you, or it just doesn't complement your actual, your brow bone as well. You may see that you've got some of your natural hairs starting to grow through, and you don't really want the double brow going on, but just give me a call and we can talk you through that one too. There also may be a traumatic tattoo. Now, not many people talk about this, but traumatic tattoos could be where you maybe had a car accident, and you've got a little bit of the road, as it were, really. It could be a little bit of the asphalt on there. It could be something like sand, the grit, the dirt. There might be glass. It could be happen through not just car accidents. It could be fireworks. It could be lots of different things. Any kind of traumatic tattoo resulting in an accident that maybe you've ended up with some particles in your skin that you didn't really intend. Also, when you've also had maybe like the studs, maybe going through the eyes or the nose or the lip, and obviously you take them out and you've got that little grey kind of residue that's left. They're the kind of things that we can also take away too with lasers. So having said that, let's get on for a quick few questions that you may want answered. Right, how does it work? So what happens is the laser is then aimed at the tattoo. As the beam goes down, it absorbs all the ink. It really is, it just absorbs the ink, and then all of a sudden it shatters it into tiny, tiny little pieces. And then what comes along is the lymphatics bring it to the lymphatic system, and then you excrete it and get rid of it that way. So this is over a few weeks. So once you've had the treatment done, probably the next few weeks, all this process starts to happen within your body. So therefore, that's why we do not have your treatment straight away. So usually we try to wait at least 6 to 8 weeks in between each session, so your body can catch up, get rid of those little tiny particles that were shattered, and then the rest of them that are not picked up, they can then settle back down. So therefore, we've got a target to work towards afterwards. So that's why we do leave that amount of time in between. Now, some of you've come in, you've not all got black tattoos. I mean, obviously some people have lots of different colours, and there's a few different things. We have different wavelengths, different types of lasers for different colours. So some of you we've always had Q-switch, because the Q-switch is what we do. It's a sharp acoustic kind of sound that goes into the skin. It's a real power. It's really quick, sharp, and it absorbs and shatters. So therefore it's not a long, slow process. So it's kinder to the skin on the surface. So it's the least traumatic for your skin. Now you'll hear us talk about different colours. So therefore we've got the Q-switch ND YAG, which is a 1064. And basically that's for our blacks, our blues, our greens, that kind of colour. Then we've also got the KTP, or it's the 532, and that's usually for our oranges, our red kind of colours, our warm colours. And then we've also got, we're very, very lucky to have a Q-switch ruby. And a Q-switch ruby tends to like the kind of like the blacks, the blues, but the greens too. So there's not many lasers out there that like greens, but our ruby does. It's again, it's one of those kind of tattoos. It does take a long time to get rid of. You're not going to get rid of tattoo removal overnight. So whenever you do have a tattoo, make sure it's something that you really, really love, because otherwise tattoo removal just is a long, long process. So having said that, you want to know, does it hurt? Well, it's a treatment that's really, really quite quick. We do have a cryo freeze that we work alongside it. Usually most of the time the tattoo removal could be something from seconds to a couple of minutes. It's not a long process at all. And usually with the cryo freeze air, that tends to take the sort of sting, the heat out of it. When you do come in, you want to also know about aftercare. So we run through aftercare with you. We'll, give you a product to take away and keep your skin hydrated, acts as a kind of a barrier really. But we want it to heal nicely. We'll tell you all the do's and don'ts as well when you come in the door. But basically, you just really want it to heal nicely. You want to be careful when you go back to work or any clothes that you're wearing that nothing's going to rub or take any of the kind of like the healing, the scabby bit that may happen, may not. Everyone's different, remember. So it's those kind of things again. You also want to know how many sessions. Well, who knows? At the end of the day, it's one of those things. It could take 1 or 2 sessions if it was semi-permanent makeup, or if it was just a fade down, great, 1 or 2 sessions, because it might just be a part that you want to take away and then put another tattoo over the top. If it's total clearance, it really depends on, first of all, the area. If it's an extremity, so if it's around your wrists, your hands, if it's around your feet, your ankles, because it's further away from the actual, the torso, the blood supply, the heart, it just takes that little bit longer to heal. So those kind of areas do take a little bit longer, and also because they're quite bony as well. You haven't got an awful lot of padding behind those. Now, if it's on the torso and you want to get rid of it, then you're roughly looking, we always say roughly about the sort of like the 8 to 12 mark. You never quite know, because a lot of it really depends on the actual tattoo itself, what ink was used, the pressure of the tattooist. It depends on the location. It also depends on your immune system as well. So you could, be young, fit, healthy, go into the gym, your great immune system, and it gets rid of it, gets rid of the ink, because remember, your lymphatics is taking those particles away really, really quickly. Or you could be a little bit slower. You may have an underlying issue, health issue. Hopefully you won't do, because we would have gone through consultation anyway. But basically, just the older you are, the slower your metabolism. It just takes that little bit longer. So who knows? At the end of the day, you might be happy. Some people want total clearance. They don't want to see anything. Some people are just happy with getting rid of most of it. Also, if you're a guy, you've got your hair as well. That tends to cover a lot of maybe the last little remnants of anything. But maybe totally get rid of it. And also, usually it's the old school tattoos that come away so much quicker, because obviously years ago the inks weren't so sophisticated. Now they tend to blend them. There could be residues in there. It could be have a little resin in there as well. Just makes those blacks look a little bit shinier, and sometimes they're harder to take away with lasers. But not saying that we can't do it, just saying it might take a little bit longer. So when you come in for consultation, we kind of analyse this. We do take into consideration all these different sort of types of things. So it could be to do with your age again, what kind of job you have, what your leisure activities are. It could be about your skin tone and texture. It could be, what you really want, how long is it going to take, how, making sure your skin is in good shape afterwards as well, because let's face it, we don't want to take a tattoo away and then end up with a big white mark, or you go in the sun and end up with a sort of like a big stain around the outside as well, which is called hyperpigmentation. So if it's hypopigmentation, it takes the colour away but leaves you with a big white mark, or if it's hyperpigmentation, that's when it ends up with a brown stain around. So we've got to make sure that you know that when you're having tattoo removal, that to really keep away from the sun, you need to use your SPF every 2 hours, or keep it covered while you're going through tattoo removal, because obviously we don't want to take away one problem but only to add another one. So these are a few different things that happens with tattoo removal. Also, you might get to a stage, just one more thing, might get to a stage where you tend to plateau a little bit. So that's when we start to introduce maybe another couple of treatments into the area. So it could be something like skin resurfacing, it could be something like microneedling, but all these different things, we will analyse the skin, see where we're going, try to kickstart that again. But most of the time tattoo removal is one of our most popular, it's one of our most interesting, and I absolutely love tattoo removal. It's Juliette John, Aesthetic Laser Skin and Wellness Clinic in Ipswich.